Hey, it's great to have you along. I'm meteorologist Andy Parker, joined by meteorologist David Vogan. Nigel, Lake Erie vlogger, is by the Peace Bridge. He's been tracking the Lake Seiche all day. And we've got a live camera in the South Towns because what began with rain turned to wind and now is switching to snow, setting the stage for a very slick evening and morning commute for some people in the South Towns. Take a look at the video right here. This is what it looked like pretty much all day today, as you've got those gusty winds that came in between 50 and 60 miles an hour, just rattling signs and pushing this end of the lake all the way up to one of its highest points in recent memory. And some of those gusts were very big. Dave Vogan, what were the top gusts out there that you saw today?
Oh, Dunkirk. I mean, that's the prize winner right there. They got about 60-mile-an-hour gusts, and we were seeing some good gusts between 40 and 50 miles an hour inland, and certainly that was enough to sway the trees out there and create some very minor issues. But you can see down by the shoreline, Lake Erie, that is where the gustiest winds were today, Andy.
Yeah, let's bring up some of that Lake Seiche video, shall we? And then, and I just want to touch on that real quick because explain what we're seeing here.
Yeah, all that wind just pushing that water on shore. And you can see this is right around the pier where the grain elevator is on Furman Boulevard. And that is some very high water levels in that area. But all that wind is pushing the water towards the shoreline here. And that's what you're seeing. That's the result.
Yeah, that water came up about 4 feet. Now, Nigel, this is kind of your thing. You're a Lake Erie vlogger, and we're live right now by the Peace Bridge. This is a spot that you've been watching all day long since around noon today. How long have you been watching these Lake Seiches? You've really got a good sense of where they're going to hit and if they're going to be a good one.
I kind of got into it about 4 years ago when I first really saw my first big one and documented it. And since then, I've just been fascinated by it. So like you said, I'm by the Peace Bridge here on the Canadian side of the border, on the northeast side of the Peace Bridge. The river right now is running pretty fast. I've seen you down this many times, but this is pretty fast, so I wouldn't go on it right now. I don't know if I can just show you, but a few years ago, the wall breached here, and they're still having trouble repairing it. So the water line was just slightly touching the top of the wall earlier on. And now it's subsided. But last year when we had the Seiche, this whole area I'm standing in was completely underwater. So it wasn't as bad as last year's Seiche. The water, with the water levels being a little bit lower over the last few months, it didn't quite materialize to the height I was hoping it would get to today.
Yeah, we were looking at those gusty winds, but sometimes it becomes more of a muddled Seiche. Instead of it being a big push, one big slosh of water, it kind of comes in a little bit of undulations. It did go 4 to 5 feet was the rise. And as you mentioned, it came right up to the break wall, but it didn't chase everybody off the beach as it did back in December of last year.
That's correct. Last year it was unbelievable. I remember being down here and all this road right in front of me where the Canada Customs place is was I'm just turning around. This whole area over here was completely closed down. They blocked the road off. The whole road was flooded by about a foot deep of water, and that roadway is probably about 80 feet away from me right now. And you can just imagine how much of this water comes up and actually pushes its way onto the streets here in Fort Erie when the Seiche really pushes down this way.
Yeah. Hey, Nigel, I've got the pictures that you took earlier today. Yeah. These were the ones now. These were about 24 hours apart. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's yesterday. That's Crystal Beach yesterday afternoon. And the next one is earlier on this afternoon when it comes up. And and the water was quite low yesterday. And you'll see, there you go, the beach is completely gone. The tree, the big tree trunk, which is what I was using as a reference, the water was way past it. Yesterday, you could actually walk around that tree without getting your feet wet completely. And at the boat ramp, which is where I was positioned for quite a while earlier on today, like lunchtime, we actually managed to watch the water rise by about 2 or 3 feet, we noticed, compared with last night. We could walk to a certain point, and we measured it, and we got about 2.5 to 3 feet easily of water rising by 1 o'clock.
Yeah, just to give kind of the layman out there, somebody who's heard about a Lake Seiche, this actually happens pretty quick. In a matter of hours, the lake could go up the height of a human, about 4 or 5 feet. That's correct, right?
That's correct. When I covered one, I think it might be in last year on one of my videos, It had been windy like for a very long time. We had been monitoring it over at Shirkston, Crystal Beach, and here. But the actual full power of the Sage actually didn't hit till probably like 9, 10 o'clock that night, even though it had been windy all day. And it came very, very quickly, like you said. The water was just gushing out onto the streets. It was an amazing sight, but it wasn't very nice for those people who had to clean it all up, unfortunately.
Yeah, you can see the rise brought it up to the bottoms here. So this was not a big lake sage. It certainly isn't in the top 10. It was notable today, and it was something we're watching. Now we're looking ahead when it comes to lake stations, because Saturday could be another repeat situation of what we had today, if not up a little higher, by virtue of the winds that are scheduled on Saturday.
That's correct. I'm seeing at the moment the forecasting about 90 to 100 kilometers an hour, which is about 55, 60 miles per hour. Gusts at the Crystal Beach area. And the good thing about Crystal Beach is it just juts out a little bit, so we get a great view of if we look to our left at Crystal Beach, we get to look at Buffalo. And if we look to the right, we can see like the clouds on the horizon coming up from low banks. And in the far, we look to slightly to the southwest, in the direction of Dunkirk, so we can get a really good perspective at Crystal Beach of all the storms that come up, and they either hit us or we just watch them go past us, which is quite amazing.
Yeah, that is neat. Well, Nigel, I appreciate you checking in here. We're going to cover the creeks and then the lake snow, but the lake sage was something that was front and center today. We appreciate it, and I'm going to throw your banner up here. It's going to cover your face, but it is. If you want to follow him at Lake Erie Vlogger, it's a great follow. Hey, David, let's slide over and talk about the creeks real quick, because what we're finding on there is that a couple of them have now reached minor flood stage. Which ones are we talking about?
Yeah, Cayuga and Cazenovia. This was Cazenovia earlier today, right around lunch, and you can see it is pretty high. It's just about bankful right there, about to cross into portions of Cazenovia Park, and the river is, or the creek that is, it is flowing too. So you've got some currents on there and some good flow with the Cazenovia Creek area. And we're also watching Cayuga Creek out in Lancaster. That's where you have a flood warning that's in place for the next couple of hours.
Let's touch on the flood warnings that we've got going out there, because these are not where you're evacuating your homes, but the creek is right up to its flood level. So there's going to be parts of it where it's going to jump its banks, go into the natural floodplains, but this is kind of a low level situation. And you've been watching the creek levels, and it does look like while they were jumping up, they've actually begun to slow down. Is that something you've seen?
Yes, Cayuga is still expected to crest within the next 2 hours. It's going to go just over flood stage. That's about 8 feet, 8.1 feet. And this gauge, by the way, this is right around Como Park and Broadway. So that's going to be the low-lying areas that are going to see some of that water begin to creep on in. But the good news is this is just a short time period.
Yeah, this is our Lancaster
again.
This
couple
is our
of hours
Lancaster gauge.
And then go back down. Yeah.
Everybody out there at Cayuga, this is up to its banks. It's pretty full. It's not uncommon, but as Dave, you said, this is now expected to go kind of the other way. Any chance we could slide over in the West Seneca? If there's anybody, I know we haven't taken a lot of questions yet. I love it over there. We've got a lot of stuff to get to, and we're going to happy to do it. Deb says that the lake stations fascinate her. That's why we kind of started with that, because that was a really neat feature out on Lake Erie. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in there. We can see your comments right away. It's great to have a two-way street. And do me a favor. Do a share with this. If you're watching us on Facebook or however you're catching us, either YouTube or Twitter, just share the stream. It would be a huge help. If everybody right now took that 1 second and just hit the share button, that would be awesome for us right here. And we're seeing a lot of comments out here about Bev says she's coming down from Canada into Buffalo tomorrow. Tomorrow the weather's going to be a piece of cake compared to today. Breezy, cloudy, cool, and I believe it's going to be maybe around 40 or so, but nothing that's going to prevent you from getting into the city. And Laura, thank you for checking in again. That is awesome. It's great to see you. Appreciate that. That is awesome. And then and we wanted to thank Nigel for dropping in there, doing his duty over by the Peace Bridge, keeping an eye on that lake stay. She's a really neat stuff if you want to check it out. All right, you're over in West Seneca. Let's bring that up, Dave, and take us over to the which one are we going to?
Well, Buffalo Creek, by the way, you're in the clear right now. However, you're expected to get in the action stage.
Yep.
I don't think, looking at the trend, Buffalo Creek right around Harlem is going to get into flood stage, but Cazenovia Creek is another spot. So this is Orchard Park Road and Ridge Road. This is where that gauge is, and you can put the cursor on here to check the current level, and it's right around 9.2 feet. Flood stage is 10 feet, so you're not too far off from seeing this go over the banks. Certainly something that we'll be watching in the next couple of hours, but it's going to be close. But the good news is, looking at that trend, it's the water, all that rain that fell, all the melting with that water that fell into the creeks and rivers and streams today, that is starting to slowly subside now.
Sounds good.
And we just got a comment about Angola and Cattaraugus Creek.
Yeah, let's talk about this. This is Jamie Kelly out there sending this in. He says they're getting blasted with wind right on the lake out in Angola. Those where you caught some of those 50 to 60 miles. He's got smaller tree limbs are down and a few roof shingles. 18-mile Big Sisters Creek are rising, but are under control as of now. Absolutely. Thanks for that. Let's see. Judy wants to know how Cattaraugus Creek is doing. Let's go help Judy out and bring that in and show what's going on there.
Yeah, this is Cattaraugus Creek, the gauge out in Gowanda, and it is well below flood stage. You're in even action stage. You're about 2 feet below action stage and 4 feet below flood stage. So that is currently good news for Cattaraugus Creek, but Cattaraugus Creek is, it expands pretty far inland, so that's something we'll still watch. I mean, I imagine it would still be rising, within the next couple of hours. But what's going to help subside these creeks and streams is the fact that we're getting that cold blast of air back into the area, and the rain is pretty much subsided. So it's snow right now in the southern tier and wind right now.
Let's go to that.
Certainly good news.
Yeah, speaking of that, let's talk about the switch over to snow, because we've had the rain, then we had the wind, now the flooding from that. So we had the seiche on the lake, the creeks are coming up the bank full, but now we're switching over to snow, and we're going to pull that up on the screen. We're going to show you that some of the snow coming down there. This is a view in Collins Center. That's a live picture that you're watching down there as we continue to kind of keep an eye on what's happening in sections of the South Towns, because that's the next part where we're going to find this stuff beginning to stick to the ground down there, isn't it, David?
Yeah, and I actually have another video to show you. This is from Buffalo Weather on Twitter. And I'm just trying to pull that up for you right now. Oh, here we go. Nope. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know where it went. If you could share my screen, I don't know if you can.
Oh, I've got it. What I'm going to do is throw up Doppler here, and we're going to show everybody where this is coming down right now. Those are the bands as we see them, as they're making their move, kind of developing. And let's take you in a couple locations and give you an idea of who's going to end up seeing the snow. So this is not going to hit the people who were hit hardest last time. Let me bring this full, make it very easy. There you go. Here's what we're keeping an eye on. Again, it's going to be areas south of Hamburg and the immediate South Towns. It's going to be a little further down there. So as we zero in on the city of Buffalo, while the winds came through there, the snow is really hitting portions of Angola. As Jamie Kelly pointed out, we do have that coming in. Sturgeon Point position right there, Lake Erie Beach. Then it's blowing through Eden, Holland, all the way into Arcade. And then the picture that we've got there is in Collins. And the interesting thing about the picture in Collins, there's not a lot on the ground right now, but they're in the zone where we're expecting to get maybe 3 to 6 inches of snow by tomorrow morning. A lot of the steadier snow and the sideways snow is just to the north of them now. This is just a very lightly falling snow, and that coincides with what you see. The picture that you are watching on the screen is located right by Springville. So this lake effect event is not nearly as big as the one that just happened. This is not a Snowvember, but it is going to affect everybody from, let's say, the deeper sections of Hamburg, Eden, Boston, Colden, Collins, Concord, Sardinia, Arcade, Forestville, and then point south. as you get into sections of Chautauqua County, Cassadaga, Perrysburg, Gowanda, Forestville. So all of those players are going to get in this as well. A few flurries were seen in Tonawanda today. That's about it. So this is not going to be a big deal for you there. Wish the winds in Hamburg would go away. Got to relight the water tank. It's something that the winds are going to slowly subside, but they're never really going to go away, if you will. They're going to be kind of stuck in the same situation that we have now. Let's go back to that live camera again, not sticking to the ground all that much. We appreciate that view there. Did you have your video queued up? Let's pull that in. Do we have it there?
There it is.
All right, we're fighting. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
There. This is from Buffalo Weather on Twitter. And he is somewhere in the southern tier, I want to say. He doesn't mention on Twitter, but this is Buffalo Weather. You can see it's kind of like a Star Wars effect. Actually, this kind of looks like I think I know where he is. Boston. This looks like Boston.
He did say he was going a little bit further south. Yep. So Rich took a ride and found some slush-covered roads, and this is that stuff that was falling down in the form of little balls, little snowballs that were hitting the ground. Some people call them the Dippin' Dots, and that's kind of what it looked like as it was hitting the ground. The Christmas inflatables took them down. She almost lost them. I guarantee that there was a lot of people that did lose some of their stuff, and it went sideways today. And then, the Seiche on the lake. That's exactly what was happening out there today. We had about a 4-foot rise on the water out there. And this was just one of those days where you had to keep your head on a swivel between the rain that we had, the wind, and then the Lake Seiche and the flooding on area creeks. These are some of those big waves that were just smashing the break wall. I think we had 6-foot waves on top of a 4-foot Seiche today, Dave.
Yeah, and there was even a buoy that was in the middle of Lake Erie that was picking up on waves or recording waves up to 10 feet. But that is well on the lake. But you can see these waves just crashing over the outer breakwall in Buffalo.
All right, we're going to bounce back into Doppler because we showed you where the snow is right now, where it's tracking in some of the deeper south towns. But David, if you're prepared, let's go ahead and talk about snow totals here for everybody. And we're kind of set the stage for who gets what. And we're going to make it very easy to see who's going to have maybe a little more difficult drive in the morning as opposed to what's going to be a smooth sail. So here it is right now. If you're in that blue area, that's the spot you got to worry about, right, Dave?
Yeah, this is going to be the area you're getting 3 to 6 inches of snow. You know, this is something that, hey, it's shovelable. You don't need the snow plow or the snow blower if you don't have one, so you're not shoveling feet of snow. This is, again, 3 to 6 inches of snow, not feet, but inches. So the areas that are in the blue, Gowanda, Springville, Arcade, Cattaraugus, South Dayton, that's going to be the areas that will see those 3 to 6 inches of snowfall. You go closer to the lakeshore area. So Dunkirk, Silver Creek, it's going to be on the much lesser end of the scale. So 1 to 3 inches for you folks, but you go, further down to the Chautauqua Ridge Chops in Clairville, Mayville, Cassadaga, again, 3 to 6 inches for you folks. And this is really, if you look at that lake effect snow band, Andy, it's not that incredibly intense one band of snow. The winds are just trying to rip it apart, and you can see it's just maybe a burst for 15-20 minutes and then it stops. I mean, look at Eden, look at Hamburg. I mean, that's what's happening out there in southern Erie County.
Yeah, we can zero in that. The video that we showed you before, again, was closer to 391, the south side of Hamburg, Boston, and we're seeing some of that snow stick to the roadways there, especially some of the higher elevations. And again, this is not that intense band, but it is enough that it's going to stick to the ground, and any of the untreated roadways are going to be slick anywhere from the deeper south towns all the way into Chautauqua County. Just the last few frames, watch what happens in Chautauqua County in particular. Let's go over to it and drop into the south towns first, give you a little closer look. I know we've been taking a peek at that, but we'll go slightly south. And if you watch the time lapse, you can see a burst of snow come in to cover northeast Mayville. This is, I think, what's going to lift, and it's going to cause an increase in snow rates for the south town. So I think the snow rates are about to increase as this consolidates in that area. And I want to bring that map up. If you've got it, Dave, I'm going to pop it up again. So this is the spot where you're going to see about 4 to 6 inches of snow by the time we get to tomorrow morning. This is a situation that's just getting itself together right now. That's where it is. We've had some bursts of snow, enough to put some snow on the ground in Collins. This is right in one of the areas that's kind of in the snow zone tonight. Any of the green grass there should probably be disappearing in the next couple of hours as we start to see that band begin to collect itself from Sinclairville to Springville. And then as you had on the screen, that's your 2 to 3 in the darker gray, and then anywhere in there, you're in that kind of that 4 to 6 inch range by the time you get to tomorrow morning. So the plows are going to be out. They'll be salting the roads and doing their thing. What do we get here? I just saw this last one. It says, oh no, not again. So yeah, not to the degree that it was, but hey, we're knocking on the door of December. This is the time of year that we are going to start watching these lake effect events. We've got another wind event coming our way on Saturday. And it doesn't come with the snow and the rain that this one did, but those gusts could still be between 50 and 60 miles an hour. Could be another situation where we're watching a seiche back on the lake. If folks are just coming in, let's take them real quick from the top here, Dave, because we're watching 3 elements of this. And then the first one was the lake today. We saw that wind that I think we had top gusts. Run down the top gusts real quick here, the top 2 or 3.
Yeah, Dunkirk was right around 60 miles an hour. That was actually recorded earlier this morning when winds were more southerly. And then this afternoon, Buffalo Airport got about a 52 mile an hour gust and some 40 to 50 mile an hour gust well inland. But if you wanted to know who was the gustiest, well, it's for those of us living along the shorelines. This is Furman Boulevard. And if you were to turn on the volume, there you go. Yeah, it sounds like a jackhammer. The wind is pushing around that traffic sign. No issues doing that. And then you got the wind blowing the American flag and a Bills flag up there towards the outer harbor.
That's a crazy noise. That was some mean wind, and then that ended up taking the lake water and then pushing it up, and you can see the rises here in some of the situations that we were watching. Anything along the lakeshore really was pushed up about 4 feet. And then we start turning our attention to the creeks, because this is now where we started to see the rises. And it began this morning. The feeder creeks were the first to go right out of their banks, just like they threw up. It was huge. All of that makes it about 6 hours later into Cass, Buffalo, Cayuga, and now we're starting to see those rises up to Bankful. And at this hour, I think the latest stats on those is that they are literally on minor flood stage. So there's going to be some of those low-lying areas where it spills over. This is not a huge flooding situation, but it's definitely one that bears watching as we progress through the evening, although we're likely at the peak of this without any additional rainfall. And as the temperatures begin to drop, it'll kind of slow that runoff. That's a great combo. So those were the creeks. This is the Doppler that we've been tracking. Let's bring that up full. I know a bunch of people just came in here, and we're kind of running you down from top to bottom here. And we're watching some of the lake snow come in. This is now hitting some of the deeper south towns. But just in the last hour, we're starting to see some collection by Westfield, Sinclairville, Dunkirk, Gowanda, Perrysburg. All of that is going to make its way up and do this. David, take us through this map.
Yeah, wherever you're seeing the blue, that's where you are going to get 3 to 6 inches of heavy snowfall. Not feet, but inches. So Gowanda, Springville, Cattaraugus. This is from now until Thursday morning. Thursday morning, by the way, by 7 o'clock, this is when that band of snow really shuts down. And, you'll see a couple of flakes during the day, but the intensity, whatever intensity is left of this, is pretty much done. So hey, Dave, the blues, 3 to 6 inches of snow, Springville, Gowanda, Cattaraugus, Arcade, 1 to 3 inches along the shoreline, Dunkirk, all the way down to Westfield.
Hey, let's do this for Andrea. She says, when is Jamestown going to get the majority of its snow? Let's bring Jamestown in. And they're kind of on the outside looking in, I think, in Jamestown.
Yeah, this isn't the snow event for Jamestown. Like you said, they're just looking at the window further north of their neighbors up in the Chautauqua Ridgetop, Cassadaga, up there. I mean, those folks will get good snowfall, but Jamestown going to be sitting this one out.
Yep, that's it for them. This was Greg says, say she's never heard of that term before. Don't forget to hit the like button. We appreciate that. Like button and the share button. That always helps as well. We appreciate the shares as much, if not more, than the likes. And everybody kind of dipping in. This is not a Snowvember event, but it's worth watching because this is one that's going to deposit 4 to 6 inches of snow. There's a winter weather advisory up. We're going to cover every single one of these, every element of this. It was a big weather day today. A lot of W's. It was Wednesday. That was number one. And then we had the wind, and it was wet. And then and I think now we're switching over to snow, and the creeks are up to the bank full. But Thursday, everything settles down. We'll get to do the wind thing again come Saturday. So if you have any questions, hey, no problem. Happy to do it for you. We'll take any of your questions here. We'll keep rolling. I know a bunch of more people just walked in. If you do, smash the like button or the share button. We appreciate that as much. If you want to do it on the way out the door, that's fine as well. We appreciate what you do for us, and we'll do whatever it is we can help you out with here as far as the weather goes. It was, like I said, a big weather day for the wind, the rain, the lake sash, the creek flooding, and then now the snow. And that's kind of the thing that we're shifting into is who's going to get the snow. You can see it on the screen, and we'll go into a couple of communities here and try to take this as close as we can just to help everybody out. So this is the Eden exit of the Thruway, Lake Erie Beach. In there as well, you've got looks like Sturgeon Point would be the north end. This cuts right through East Aurora, Holland, and then all the way. We haven't called out Wyoming County, but Warsaw and Perry, Cast Isle, Pike, and then we're going to find that this is going to start to hit portions of the Chautauqua County area rather quickly. Dunkirk here, it'll be interesting to see if that stays in the form of a rain-snow mix or when and if it switches over to snow completely. But that's moving all the way into central Cattaraugus County. These bursts of snow will continue, but it's going to be that area that we just had outlined right in there. That's going to be the spot that ends up collecting that 3 to 6 inch range. And we've got, here's, I think, I don't like winter. So, well, it's not technically winter yet, so I hate to do that to you, but that's what we're looking at. Let's go back. We've got our live picture back up. Let's bring it in. This is in Collins, so we're kind of in the snow zone, and no, that's not Jim Cantori waiting for thunder snow there, but that's John, and he's waiting on the snow. We're expecting that picture to change. Folks in that portion of southern Erie County are going to end up sitting on a decent amount of snow by the time we get to tomorrow morning. So let's see if we've got any other questions in here. If not, I think we're going to be moving on with this one. We've covered everything unless you have anything to add on it, David.
No, just stay warm. And yeah, the winds are going to be gusting throughout the night and then slowly subside throughout Thursday. So stay warm. Right. It's a weather roller coaster that we're on. And yeah, it's looks like we're getting another wind event for Saturday. So
you got it.
Hold on to your hats.
Want to remind everybody, you can always text 503-ANDY, 503-2639. Very easy to do. And you can ask the same questions you're asking right now or get a quick reply if you just text the word weather to 503-ANDY, 503-2639. Great to have everybody along. We appreciate your support. Make sure you hit the share and like button before you leave, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for stopping by.